Hey, Ray here. Back again with another Edison profile. Today we're covering a deck that's a bit strange to talk about, to be honest. Junk Debris Neospatians, sometimes called Junk Debris in Space. This is a deck where, put simply, there's a lot of ways to build this deck. And sometimes there isn't a very clear line as to where some builds are essentially just glorified Dandy Warrior builds, because a lot of builds do run Quick Draw Synchron, whereas others don't. This almost feels like a kind of proto or alternate Quick Draw deck, and I'm going to be honest with you, I personally believe that this is just a worse deck than Quick Draw Dandy Warrior, in my personal opinion, but it's something a little bit different if you're sick of seeing the same usual Quick Draw lists. Because instead of using one of the typical engines alongside Dandelion, Debris Dragon in order to abuse fluff tokens for synchro summons, instead it uses Neospatians. Now, I think this will make more sense if we go through the card by card. Let's start with one of the most important cards in the deck, Convert Contact. If you control no monsters, send 2 Neospatian monsters, one from your hand and one from your deck, to the graveyard, then draw 2 cards. This is a card that is just generally great. Neospatians themselves suck. We generally don't want to be summoning them. But if, let's say we have a Glowmoss in hand, we can then send that from our hand, send a Dark Panther from deck to grave, and then draw 2 cards. 1, we've just dug deeper into our deck, which is always nice. And 2, we have exactly a Dark and a Light, which sets up for Chaos Sorcerer. And since they're both level 3, and Glowmoss has a low enough attack, it can be special summoned by Debris Dragon. Essentially, we use Convert Contact as a core to dump fuel into the grave for both Debris Dragon and kind of for Junk Synchron. Which it's basically a kind of slow combo deck that requires a bit more setup than some of the more meta-relevant ones, which is why you don't really see this come up at high-level play as much. If you look, however, this was a pretty popular deck, especially among more budget players, because some of these cards, you could get them a lot easier than some of the stuff played in Quick Draw lists. And if you look at places like Pojo, TCG Player, and other historical sources, you see lots of people played this deck, experimented with it, tried completely different builds. Here, there is a kind of janky list from 2009, so before Edison, that it has the same concept. They run Dark Panther, Glowmoss, and Grand Mole, along with 2 Convert Contact in order to get Grave set up. Here's another list from the Pojo forums from 2010. Again, it has a similar core, 2 Glowmoss, 2 Dark Panther, 1 Grand Mole. Grand Mole being the only playable Neospatian at this time. And if you even dig around on YouTube, you can find some very early deck profiles. One from the man himself, M. Cole Foy. Yeah, a lot of these channels have been around for a long time. But the point is that this is a deck that everyone tried, but it never quite reached the level of meta. Sometimes it took games from the meta because you can get really explosive turns in this deck. Because, again, you can make a lot of plays that are similar to what is done in Quick Draw Dandy Warrior. You play Armageddon Knight primarily to send either Plague Spreader or Cross Porter. Cross Porter, when it is sent to the graveyard, searches a Neospatian, which means if you have a Convert Contact but no Neospatians in hand, Armageddon Knight can help you set that up. You just kind of have to hope it gets destroyed by battle so that you can actually resolve the Convert Contact and then go into your plays from there. Card Trooper is just a good mill card, and we have a lot of cards in this deck that we want in the grave. Chaos Sorcerer, we run lots of Darks and Lights, so this works fine for us, and 1 Convert Contact sets this up. Dandelion is this Dandelion. It is one of the best things to have in a grave along with cards like Debris Dragon, because then we can use it to make a level 7, and then we can use the token to synchro again with a tuner. Junk Synchron is nice because it's another thing we can use to benefit off of our graveyard. We can special summon Raikor, specifically, off of Junk Synchron. having to special summon level 2 or lower is a bit annoying, but we can also special summon Cross Porter, which again we send off Armageddon Knight. So this deck all kind of works as a bit of a machine. There's lots of different lines of play here. It's all about knowing what to send and what you have in your hand to know what synchro plays you can make. Generally, the synchros we're going to make are level 5s with Junk Synchron, level 7s, and very occasionally level 8s. But we do have some pretty solid extra tech targets for those, so that's nice. We play Plague Spreader just because it's a generic tuner that works well in the grave. We run Card Destruction because sometimes you open a lot of monsters because we are running 22 monsters, and often you want them in the grave anyway. Charge of the Light Brigade lets you potentially get Graveyard set up before you've even done anything in the turn, since it doesn't use your normal summon, and also it surges Raiko, so there's no reason not to play it. Like I've already said, Convert Contact is the heart of the deck. Foolish Burial can be used for Graveyard setup. You play the typical staples: MST, Heavy Storm, Solemn Judgment, Mirror Force, Torrential Tribute, and Deprison and Bottomless to slow your opponent down. We use Reinforcement of the Army because we run enough warriors to justify it, and Pot of Avarice is there because we are dumping a lot of monsters into the graveyard, so there is no reason to not potentially benefit off the draw power that Avarice offers. Like I said, with the extra deck we don't have anything special, we just have synchro monsters that we could potentially make. We run 2 Catasters because when we're summoning Junk Synchron 99% of the time you're going to be going for a Cataster. Ancient Fairy Dragon and Black Rose are some of the best things you can make off Debris Dragon usually, unless you also have a Fluff token, in which case you can make a level 8 so you can go for something like Red Dragon Archfiend or Stardust. Again, most of these extra deck targets, it's really a case of pick and choose depending on what you have, because there's only so many synchros that were printed at this time. Every deck pretty much runs a very, very similar setup. Now, with that talked about, I guess I could talk about the side deck, but I run pretty much the same side deck in a lot of decks. Unless a deck is specifically running, for example, only one type of monster, in which case you can run Rivalry of Warlords in the side deck. I tend to keep it relatively the same, because good side deck cards just translate throughout decks. So yeah, now let's do some test hands. Alright, so let's see what we can do with an opening hand like this. Charge of the Light Brigade is the first thing we want to do, because this lets us mill without using our Card Trooper. So first we mill 3. Ooh, we hit a Dandelion, that's exactly what we like to see. So that gives us 2 Fluff tokens, and now we get to search for a Raiko. This deck really is just playing a lot of generically good cards. So you do get a lot of turns where you open up really well like this, and you can go for quite a few synchro plays. Now, since we have a Dandelion engrave, the natural next play is to just throw down the Debris Dragon, activate its effect, and special summon back the Dandelion, because it's just a great line of play. Now we can go for a 7 or an 8. This is up to us, depending on what we're up against and what the field looks like. I mean, it's never a bad thing to have a Stardust Dragon, so why not go for that? And that would be our turn 1. Stardust Pass, that's really not the worst turn 1 play. And then we can set an MST, and then set a Deprison. Usually I don't like setting 2 going first, especially, but with an MST you can just fire it off if they set anything anyway, which is always nice. And if they Heavy Storm us, you know, we have the Stardust to protect, so that's always nice. Let's see. Oh gosh, that would change things. Yeah, I'd probably go for the Card Trooper here, mill 3, just to see if we can really get that Avarice going. Alright, yes, we can now resolve Avarice, there you go. And then here, I just activate Avarice and then go from there. So yeah, as you can see, this is very much a real deck. That's the reason why so many people tried to, you know, make this thing work. Ooh, this is a bit of a weird one. Double Deprison and a Card Des. This isn't exactly a hand I want to see with Card Des. I suppose... Now, I could set the 2D prison and then card Des just for the Dandelion, but that'd be the worst play. That's obviously not it. Reinforcement of the army. Let's go ahead and see what we can go fetch with that. I'm pretty sure our main target usually is Armageddon Knight, but yeah, that's generally what we're getting. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Crosspaw is See, now this gives our card destruction extra value if we do choose to go for this play. This still isn't the correct play, but now we get a lot of value from it, so I feel like I want to go for it. Oh god, no, that was a misclick. To Grave, and then to Spell and Trap Zone. Sorry, we all misclick sometimes. Now, normal summon Armageddon Knight. As for what we send here, would Plague Spreader be the worst? I don't think so. If we send Plague Spreader here, we can go for a Synchro play. Because then we can card Des, send those two. They both have graveyard triggers. We get 2 fluff tokens, and Crosspotter lets us add a Neospatian. So let's add the one good Neospatian, Granmore. And then we still get to draw 2 off of the card destruction. Ooh, and we have a Convert Contact to set up with the Granmore. Yeah, this is pretty good actually. We can put the Granmole back to the top of our deck if we really want to, because then we can mill it off the... No, we don't want to do that. We want to put the Raikou to the top of the deck to special summon Plague Spreader here. Yeah. And now we get to Synchro. We can Synchro for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if we really want to. Man, yeah, okay. You can see why this deck is fun. And there you go, we have an RDA. Let's go one more time, I think. Since I feel like I have shown like the potential for this deck. Oh wow, okay. Not when you open 2 Glomos and 2 Raikou. Glomos sucks. You don't actually want to see it. All you need to read on this card is if this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent draws 1 card. There is no reason to ever summon this. It just gives your opponent free advantage, which is like the opposite of what you'd want in a card. But hey, we don't play them for their effects. Again, is Armageddon Knight the right play here? Yeah, I suppose so. Because I going first again, I always kind of want to set Raikou. Now, let's see hypothetically, what would we flip off it? Slash mill 3. Oh, Crosspaw, that would trigger that. Should we ditch the Jug Synchron there? Ugh, now we have quite a few of them. Oh, why didn't I get Grandma? It's fine. It's just a demonstration. And then again, we can normal Armageddon Knight and then go for Synchro players. Armageddon Knight's a really nice card. I'm actually having fun with this. Let's go one more. Oh my gosh, I can find I'm finding myself like really enjoying this deck. I might start playing this seriously. Hopefully it serves as inspiration for you guys too. Alright, so charge, mill 3. Not what we really want to see, but hey, copy a winner all the time. But if I'm just going to summarize this before I make this video even longer because I keep playing this deck, this is a deck that functions well because it runs a bunch of engines, but all of those engines work really well together to make relatively simple synchro plays. When a lot of people fondly look back at around this period, I think, or like around 2010, the average Joe was not playing like Quick Draw Dandy Warrior. They probably couldn't afford it or put together the cards. But a deck like this, something similar to this, I could totally see people building these types of decks. Neospatians were despised by the competitive scene mostly because they were practically all garbage, except for Grandmole. which is limited anyway, or else you'd run more. So a deck like this, you could probably throw together from cards that people didn't necessarily want. Junk Synchron was reprinted a bunch, it was a pretty common card, and the gameplay of this deck feels like what people remember the Synchro era being as, which was still a slow, interactive format, but like, you made that special summon, you got the payoff, and it felt good. I'm not going to claim this is like a super meta deck or anything, but I think you could like probably just have some matches against some relatively competent decks and you'd still do well. Because at the end of the day, a Catasta is a Catasta, you know what I mean? You have access to powerful generic boss monsters in the form of Synchros, and often that's enough to win a game sometimes. So yeah, this has been Neospatian Junk Debris, and I hope you guys have had a great day.